Smoke.
What? I just hit
Hey
you.
Zoe, you got
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Such a
Hey, what's up boys, it's Lask here. In this video I'll reveal the secret to easier lobbies on Black Ops 6. But first, for context, I'll disclose that I've never been the best Call of Duty player, despite playing tons growing up and investing many hours as an adult on games like Black Ops Cold War and now on Black Ops 6. Like most people, I'm just not that gifted at video games, which can make Call of Duty frustrating and generally unfun. This frustration is amplified even more on games like Black Ops 6, which have very strong skill-based matchmaking. Before I found this trick, it felt like I would do well in a few games and then suddenly be matched with aspiring pros and omni-movement sweats who would totally obliterate me. Given the strength of skill-based matchmaking on Black Ops 6, there's been lots of interest in matchmaking loopholes within the community. From what I've seen, people have been using two different methods, and both of them are pretty unworkable in my opinion. The first is reverse boosting. If I wanted to reverse boost, I would intentionally play terribly for a bunch of games to trick the system into thinking that I'm terrible. And then, in later games, the system would match me with players who are just as bad. Now this method does work to some extent, since skill-based matchmaking is based on performance in recent games rather than career stats. But the problem is that you have to waste tons of matches tanking your stats, and then once you get into some easy lobbies, you'll just start destroying the players you're matched against, and that'll cause you to be matched with better players in the next games. So yeah, this method kind of works, but it costs a lot for little payoff. At best, you end up only playing in half the matches that you load into. The other half are spent running around pretending to be a total drone. The second method is called two-boxing, and this method really was effective, but it's actually been patched by Activision due to the endless abuse of this method. To two-box, you'd basically need two consoles, two copies of BO6, and two accounts. One account's your bot account, which would have terrible stats, and you'd queue up into matchmaking with that account. You'd wait till the lobby's nearly full to the brim with bad players, join the lobby with your main account, and then back out of the lobby with your bot account. And then you could play against all those juicy bots with your main account, getting easy lobbies over and over again. And now this method has been patched. Players are no longer able to join the in-session lobbies of friends who have substantially worse stats than they have. And worse yet, two-boxing and its variations are now bannable offenses, which could result in lost access to VO6 entirely. Going into 2025, neither of these methods will provide sustained fun on Call of Duty. But my secret method will, and all it requires is at least one human female, and a device for her to play Black Ops 6 on. In my case, the easiest and most consistent access to a woman is through my wife. But for you, it could be a sister, a platonic female friend, a coworker, or perhaps even your mom or grandma. Go to this woman and convince them to play Call of Duty Black Ops 6 with you. That's pretty much the entire method. Now let me explain why it works. First, we need to recognize how skill-based matchmaking works on COD. If you're playing by yourself and you have a high score per minute, you'll be matched up with other players who have similarly strong stats. If you're half decent at the game, this will usually result in relatively sweaty matches where you get around a 1 KD and where banging clips are hard to come by. However, if you're playing in a party of 2 or more players, the players you're matched with will be based on the average skill level of your party. So if you party up with someone whose stats are worse than yours are, the average skill level of the enemies will be lower than if you were queuing up all by yourself. Pretty simple, right? The worse the players in your party are, on average, the worse the enemies will be, on average. That means easier lobbies for me, more fun, and more clips. And yet it's not like the players are complete drones either. I still need to be hitting my shots and focusing to do well. This creates a sweet spot of difficulty that's really enjoyable and addictive to play with. I'm usually a little better than the enemies, but not too much better, so there's still a challenge. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, if the method is all about having worse players in your party, why did I mention girls? Why not just bad players of any variety? This is an excellent question. It's true that having guys with worse stats in your party will also make your lobbies easier, but there are various reasons why girls are better. Here's just a few. First, guys who play video games tend not to be that bad. Guys who grew up playing shooting games or video games in general might be bad for a little while when picking up a new game, but they're likely to improve quickly if they have a lot of gaming experience, since it'll transfer over to the new game. Girls, on the other hand, are much less likely to have grown up playing video games, and are therefore more likely to be worse at the game and to stay bad for longer. This means that playing with girls will likely provide you with easier lobbies in the long term, not just for a few sessions. Second, guys tend to be more competitive and sensitive to status cues within social settings, such as gaming with friends in a party. If one of your male friends is getting outclassed in your lobbies over and over, they're likely to either quit the game or to prefer playing without you in the future. Girls, on the other hand, don't take as much pride in their gaming performance. The world doesn't expect them to be top-tier gamers or to be outplaying the boys on the game. Instead, they're usually happy to just do okay and to spend quality time with the person they're playing with. Especially with wives or girlfriends, they'll often be satisfied that they've been invited and included in the social activity of gaming with the boys. This is especially true if some of your boys have girlfriends also, and you can all party up together. The social aspect of party gaming will be enough of a reward to make the experience enjoyable, even if the girls aren't doing quite as well as you are. For these reasons, I've been able to have consistent fun playing Black Ops 6 for the last few months with girls. My wife and I get to spend quality time together, and I get to game with the boys and hit wild clips all at the same time. For me, it's a perfect system. But if you're going to try and implement the girl party method yourself, there are a few things you should be aware of. The number one thing is to make the experience fun for the girls. You want your wife, girlfriend, or even platonic gal pal to keep coming back. It needs to be a mutually fun gaming experience for the both of you, otherwise it'll be unsustainable since your gamer girls won't want to play with you anymore. There are a few ways to make the game more fun for girls. First, try to keep your score per minute down however you can, while still playing in a way that's fun for you. This is important because if your score per minute is drastically higher than the girls, you'll drag the party average way up, and the enemies will be too difficult for the girls to compete with at all. For me, this means avoiding objective play whenever possible. I try not to capture flags, collect tags, or capture hardpoints, since these inflate my score per minute. I also never spam grenades to pick up free but unnecessary limbs, and I never use any lethal kill streaks. The only streaks I run are UAV and counter UAV, which can make the game a little easier for my party members. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, I never red gun at all. By only sniping, even on ridiculous maps like Stakeout, I place myself at an inherent disadvantage, which helps to keep my stats nice and mediocre. This way, the girls don't notice such a drastic difference when playing in their own lobbies and playing in mine. They're still able to have fun despite the marginal increase in enemy difficulty. Second, you'll need to be sensitive to the feelings and desires of your girl party members. When they have decent games, comment on how well they've done. Help them to customize their classes and weapons so that they have the best chance at relative success on the game. If you're playing with your other male friends, be sure to include the girls in any conversations that unfold, and try not to alienate them with locker room talk. If they have preferences for maps or game modes, make sure to accommodate those, and if you find yourself doing very well in a match, don't comment on how easy the lobby is, or make remarks about how you're destroying them. Sure, the lobby might be easy for you, but for other players in your party it might be challenging. If your girl party members are struggling, it'll make them feel bad to know that they're being outgunned by players you would describe as bots. Lastly, when you're inviting girls to play with you, don't tell them it's because you want easy lobbies. This was a mistake that I made when I first encouraged my wife to play with me, and it caused her to resist playing at first. Instead, insist that you'd like to spend more time together and that gaming could be a fun activity for the two of you to share, which is true. Another tip is to exploit the Xbox Game Pass so that your girls don't need to buy a $90 game just to play with you. You can get a 10-day free trial of Game Pass on PC and Xbox, which I'd recommend as a test drive. This should help you determine whether your girls are going to stick around on the game. If they're having fun after the trial concludes, offer to pay the $15 per month subscription for them so that they can play with you for free. If they're having consistent fun, go ahead and purchase the next COD for them when it releases to save a few dollars on monthly payments. And there you have it, the secret to easier and more fun lobbies in Black Ops 6. No cheating required and no bannable offenses involved. Just need a couple of girls and you should be good to go. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel here. We're on the road to 50 subscribers. Now good luck with finding chicks to play with, and I hope you all have fun on the game. Peace.